All right, good morning from the lovely country of Switzerland. We made it to Zurich yesterday. Really, I think we kind of lost the day. We did some laundry, kind of just wandered around. We had a late flight. The flight was at 6, so we got here at like 7:30.
I fed a cat.
Yeah, Kelly fed a cat that was pregnant, hungry. But
Trying to do a good deed.
we're in Switzerland now. So very excited to be here, and the fall foliage is in full effect. But I think we're off to find some coffee. We're actually only in Zurich for like 24 hours basically. And then we're going to be off to Bern. So we're going to see what we can find. I know I need to replace one of my sweaters that unfortunately bit the dust in the wash, and I think Kelly needs to find some boots before we go hiking in the mountains. So that's the goal for today. We're going to try to see as much as we can of the old town and the lake and all that stuff. So off we go. All right, so it's like, I don't know, a little after 11 a.m. Walked around the city. It's really cool. But we actually just bought an audio guide for $10 off of our nice app, and we're going to walk around the town and listen to the audio guide to get us kind of familiar with what's going on.
Yeah, it felt like a really cosmopolitan city with a really cool old town, but didn't really know what we were looking at, so let's find out more.
Yeah, the first stop was an observatory that was built in like the 1900s, which was like the first one in Switzerland, and it's still there. Apparently you can take an elevator to the top for free, so maybe we will do that later, but we're going to continue on the tour now.
Behind me we have the main street of the city called the Bahnhofstrassen, which we learned used to actually be the wall that fortified the city. It was taken down, I think, in the mid-1800s to allow for more expansion of the town and, more people to move in. The fountain here behind me to my right is, it used to be the old gate to the city, and everyone would have to pass by the fountain to enter the old town, which is just down the way here. And this used to be the main street in the old city.
All right, so continuing with the tour, we're now at a nice lookout point that used to be essentially the only fortified area of the historical town. And so I guess one of the biggest pieces was that the Romans eventually took this over around 15 BC, and the river behind us, they put a toll system on so that they could make money for the empire.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they had no other interest really in the city other than tolling the river behind me, but then eventually lost it to the kind of the local population. And then Zurich, really a couple hundred years ago, started becoming a major European center.
One other cool thing about this area is in 1291, the women of the city actually protected the town from being taken over by Germans. So kind of a cool piece of history that was not super common.
Yeah, so we're going to continue on now, but really cool place up here. Good views.
Right, we're standing in St. Peter's Square here in the old town of Zurich. Behind me is St. Peter's Church from the 12th century. One cool fact about the church is the clock face is the biggest in all of Europe at 28.5 feet wide, which is actually wider and bigger than Big Ben in London.
This is my favorite square because behind me is a fountain featuring a statue of a winemaker. The square actually used to be where the local food market was, and eventually where the wine market was for Zurich. So cool little place, and nice that they have a fountain here with a statue to commemorate that from a long time ago. Alright, so the tour stopped us in this little square and started telling us about how Switzerland used to have, or Zurich, I guess, had guild houses. So you can see the logo here of the red dog above this one. So this was a guild house, or essentially a union, so to say, of people of higher nobility, so knights and other things. And the house was used for their hunting dogs. Then we look across the street, there's actually another guild house here you can see is marked. This was the guild house of farmers. We walked past a couple others, such as the Spice Market Guild House and others, but it's really cool how they kept touches of these old guild houses within the city, and I'm sure we'll walk past a couple more. We stopped here briefly at the church, and we're actually going to go in later, so may piece together some clips. But the church actually was built maybe on the site of a Roman church in the 800s, but the current one is somewhere around 1500. They think that it was ordered to be built by Charlemagne. The surrounding areas obviously are all much newer than the church itself, but it's really beautiful on the outside.
Yeah, and it was the start of the Reformation in Switzerland, so kind of cool to see that.
Yeah. So cool. Onwards. Alright, I usually don't film too many statues and things, but I find myself doing that this time. But this guy back here is responsible for the Reformation of Zurich, and one of my favorite pieces is he's actually presented in half preacher, half warrior, because he used to say, "Where my words can't reach, my sword can." I love it. We're going to keep moving though. Alright, so behind us we've made it finally to Lake Zurich. Probably a little noisy because there's a big road in front of me, but it's actually a lot bigger than I thought it was. It's like 25 miles by 2 miles wide. And also it's 400 feet deep?
Yeah, I think at its deepest point it's like 400 and something feet.
Yeah, and on average like 160, 70 feet deep. So actually very, very deep. Hard to see on the camera because the sun is behind us, but we can actually see the Alps in the background, just barely. But yeah, I think we're going to keep moving, but something else I've quickly noticed about Zurich is there are nice cars everywhere.
Kyle's in car heaven.
We'll just take a quick peek across the street as I talk. See what I mean? Let's keep moving.
On the topic of women's history in Zurich, we're in front of the Fraumunster, where the abbess, who was the head of this Fraumunster church, was actually the most powerful woman in Zurich at one time. She had the right to collect taxes and was actually a direct report to the Roman empires.
All right, so we're on the second to last stop on our tour, and this place across from us, Springley, is a confectionery and chocolate maker. So there were two brothers that were sons of the owner, and one of them still owns this family shop here, and the other combined their half of the inheritance, so to say, to form Lind. So kind of cool. We might give it a try later, actually. But all good. We came back to the chocolate shop that was on our tour. Kelly got some chocolate, so we're going to give that a try before maybe grabbing a few more pictures around town, then heading to our hotel and trying to find some dinner for tonight. So I think that's our plans. Not sure what dinner will look like, so maybe this is the end of the vlog for today. Maybe we have some dinner highlights, but we'll see, and if not, good night. All right, in the last installment to the 24 hours, which is really like, I don't know, how many hours we've been awake, like 16 hours of Zurich. We had dinner at this place right behind us, which used to be the mayor's house of Zurich, which is kind of cool, really beautiful inside. We didn't take pictures just because people are eating and that's weird. But it's a super traditional like cooking. I had a pumpkin soup to start, which was just like really, really flavorful. Very fall-esque, which was nice. Kelly got
It was a cabbage salad. It was kind of like pickled cabbage, maybe pickled with apple flavor, but a little different than anything I've had before since it was white cabbage instead of red. So kind of good.
Yeah, so that was really good. And then we both actually got classic chicken cordon bleu for pork cordon bleu, not veal, for dinner, which was really good. Like you cut it open and literally the cheese just like ran out of the inside, and it wasn't like overpowering cheese. It was just really, really good. The only thing that was really weird is it came with like a legit basket of like, the only thing that I can describe it as like McDonald's French fries. It had veggies on the side, but I didn't understand the McDonald's French fries. But it was really good. It was a fantastic meal. Really enjoyed it. Clearly the place to be because they turned away a ton of walk-ins. We just happened to get a seat right as they opened. So yeah, that was really good. But I think we're basically going to call it an early night, and we're off to Bern tomorrow. So good night.